Okay, so this is May 10th, 2026, and just got back from watching the Montreal Canadiens hockey game tonight, and I was thinking about a few things. Night tonight, I had um, the uncomfortable um, encounter with a guy that I've known for many many years, um, and that was out when I was walking when I was en route to my friend's place to watch the game, and I seen this man and his sister, and they're going for their they seem to do daily walks, but it was a very uncomfortable um, interaction. You could tell like he was kind of looking at me with eyes of pity, and it was just he's usually very talkative. And you could tell like today it was kind of like it's like just the way he was looking at me. It was kind of like, "Are you okay?" And so I did a recording when I was walking home tonight about oh goodness, like this is a residual effect of going through. Um, I'm still in the period of impoverishment, but I'm out of the crises situation or a period of being unhoused or homelessness. And so this is more of a residual effect of that. Um, the way you're perceived, the things that people see about you, like sort of for me, walking around all the time. And I actually used to work with this man, so he knows where I used to work. And and what corporation I used to work, and so like to see me unhoused, and he's probably heard many rumors too. I don't know what the uh, saying this word, but the scuttlebutt. I don't know what the scuttlebutt is of me in this community, but in smaller communities, word travels quick, and you know, um, so who knows what's been spoken about me, and but anyways, but it was almost like it was almost palpable, the awkwardness in our interaction, and an interaction that normally was really quite nice. But anyhow, so I was thinking about that, and then when I got here, I was thinking, oh, I guess I haven't kept you guys up to date with um, so I started work in October. There's a lot of good things that I could share, things that are authentic, things that actually reveal the hindrances or the barriers that occur in the workplace, things that are very not commonly talked about. Using the word esoteric, they are esoteric in the sense of these things are talked about commonly in within the confines of marginalized communities, but they're not commonly talked about within the confines of unmarginalized communities or non-marginalized communities. And but I think it's really good information to share because it's actually I know because it actually pinpoints some of like the main issues and reasons um, you know why people struggle in the workplace and why people can lose jobs like on a whim, and and if this information is obscured, well then the narrative surrounding these things, or the scuttlebutt surrounding these things can range along quite a spectrum of thoughts, and but it doesn't help the person going through it. It doesn't help our communities or society in terms of understanding more of like what took place and then rectifying what took place, or finding remedies to it. Um, Anyways, but as per always, the first step you know um, in addressing any situation is first and foremost to bring forth awareness or to reveal it or expose the problem. And so I'm gonna try and keep this as short as possible, but I think I'll just like give like just tidbits of information. But when I first started working at the place where I'm currently working, unfortunately there was some um, eh, I wouldn't say sexualized comments. Like there was like lustful looks, but there's a colleague of mine who was married at the time. Well, unbeknownst to me, that she was going through a divorce, but she made like some uh, goodness unsolicited like comments, and the one was like she mentioned about my looks, and like just in like conversation, I mentioned, we were talking about somebody mutual that we knew, and I mentioned that um, I'd been mistaken for like this person a few times, like not just once, but a couple times in this community, and where people were like seethingly upset with me, and I remember thinking, oh my goodness, like I don't think we've ever met before, and then they said his name, and I was like, oh, that's not me, that's a different person, and they're like, oh, sorry. Anyways, but she looked at me and she's like, "Oh, you're much more attractive than he is," and it was really uncomfortable. And then she became really uncomfortable after that because when she said that, when I get attention from females, like my not just my goal, but I will be pure until marriage and before like my wife. Like um, I don't even want um, attention from any other woman, like romantic attention or however you want to call it. And so anyway, so when I get advances like that, I just make it obvious that I'm just uncomfortable. And so then she became uncomfortable. But long story short, she was actually the one that was supposed to be training me. So there was a few of those where she kind of made comments and is it unrequited comments, but anyways, unsolicited comments I think works just as fine. And then it just got awkward, and I noticed that she just became like kind of like, me. I don't give a hoot kind of attitude, and yeah, do what you want, yeah, do what you want. Like she just became more avoidant of me, and she's just really awkward. But I really wasn't trained, and I remember thinking, oh, this is like quite terrible because then when my supervisor comes around, it's really difficult for me to say, well, you're getting upset for me or upset with me about not doing this the way that you want it done, but nobody's actually trained me because my train has been lacking. But also too, I don't have the confidence to bring this up to you because you're best friends with this woman, and it can easily be like a he said, she said, and just create a very precarious predicament for me. So I just kept, just asking questions and just allowing myself just to, yeah, I made a mistake. Well, then I'll have to go right to my supervisor and like, would you please be very um, communicative with me and very like explain it like to a T, and then I'll record it and I'll move forward. But anyways, so in this place, there's a bunch of like sexual talk between some of the my colleagues, and and gossipy, a lot of gossip, and a lot of just like fruitless talk. And I stay away from all that stuff. I've learned to just to be honest with myself and with others, and to establish boundaries. Like I'm there to work as unto the Lord. I'm there to give it my all. I'm there to learn. I'm there to grow, and I'm there to be a benefit to everybody, like my colleagues, my supervisor, the corporation, the people that we serve, and also too, and like it also it's develops like a good work ethic and a lot of accountability within me, and I can do this all for God's glory. So that's my mo, that's my focus. And so when you're doing that, like that sounds wonderful, and I think everybody will agree, okay, that's a wonderful attitude, this and that. But what is not so commonly talked about is that doesn't always fly with it doesn't always go over well. If you have colleagues that have a different mindset, they can see you as being very egotistic, or being very what's the word for it? Like it virtually means you're not a team player. They can see you as a threat for certain. I find when people feel insecure about what they're doing, if they're not confident about what they're doing, they're going to mask it. And sometimes, just like those conversations can be nothing more than a mask to hide, the way they're feeling. So if you're not a part of those conversations, it's almost like they take it very personally, and there can be vendettas against you. So anyway, so that actually is the perfect segue because at one point, so there's like, and also too, when I'm working, I don't worry about getting fired because all the best I can do is literally the best I can do. So when I work as unto the Lord, I just do the best I can. If there's lapses in communication, I just humble myself and just ask questions, and I'm not worried about sounding like silly or sounding uninformed because I am uninformed, and I'm quite comfortable with that. I won't be informed until I'm informed. And anyways, but I see it as a waste of time. Like I don't worry about anything. It's a waste of time to worry about like, oh, could I be getting fired? Could I this? Could I that? I don't bring any of these things home with me. And so anyway, so I just trust God. And so anyhow, so I can tell, you can tell when people are setting you up. You can tell like when people have that weird ebb and flow where they act confident about or insecure around you one day, then confident the next day, and this and that. And I would love to say that at my workplace it's anything but toxic. I would love to say at my workplace it's very mature, um, but I can't. The honest truth is it is exceedingly toxic, and some of my colleagues are highly immature and highly unaccountable and very vindictive. And but when they're around the supervisor, oh goodness, they're like the model, the model colleagues. And so anyway, so it's the lies are the issue here. And but there was a point where like some of my colleagues were getting very brash with me. One person in particular, to the point where they would like they constantly showed up late every day, and it wasn't just like 5 minutes late. It could be 15 minutes late, a half an hour late, 40 minutes late, and they would just sneak away like during work and just leave like myself and my other colleagues just hanging, and like just they're very inconsiderate. And but I noted that like this one individual would come in late and would literally start chastising me, and then she'd make comments about like, I don't know why you're doing it this way, you should be doing it this way and this way, and just really trying to micromanage me. And just a lot of like snarky comments. It was almost like she had this like rebellious nature against like our supervisors when our supervisor wasn't around. She'd constantly say, well, this is the way I think we should be doing it, I don't think we should be doing it that way, and blah blah blah. So it makes it really awkward because we can both be painted with the same paintbrush. Anyhow, at one point, I was there for like a month, maybe 2 months. At one point, my supervisor happened to be there. It was just the two of us working together, and there was like a little scandal that occurred. So, unfortunately, well, it happens, but there's a few groups that they all seem to gossip, and then when the other would leave, they would gossip about the other, and yeah, it was just weird being around. But the one person who found out that she was actually a gossiper too, but found out that she was being gossiped about, and she was very incensed about it, very angry, and so she threatened to quit. Anyway, so there was like a big ordeal about this, and my supervisor was in the one day, and she just asked me questions about like anything that I've like seen or this or that. And then she looked at me at one point. She said, um, she's like, "This and this keeps happening." She's like, "Do you know anything about it?" And I honestly didn't. And she's like, "Okay." She's like, "I'm just gonna say this," but she's like, "You get thrown under the bus for a lot of things, and I know, like you're just kind of the scapegoat because you're the new guy, and like, why, like there's a group of people that keep blaming everything on you." And I just looked at her and I said, I kind of, I expect that, in all honesty. Like, or I said, like, what I can say to you with all honesty is whenever there's drama and whenever there's gossip and just unprofessional talk, I stay very far away from it and very comfortable with making and upholding like boundaries. And I was like, so I kind of understand. I think I am the them and the us versus them paradigm. And that was it. And I just felt like I don't need to justify myself. I don't need to say anything about like the other person. Well, I don't like sometimes I struggle with like whether I should or whether I shouldn't. And anyways, um but yes, and also too the one person I knew who was primarily saying things about me because they would always try to tell me bad things about other people or their opinion of other people, and I would just, "No, I'm sorry, I don't feel comfortable talking about this." But anyways, but that person, oh sorry, when I was around them, I it was just my like good pleasure to always treat them the exact same way, to regardless of like what they're doing and how they're acting. I just always want to treat them with the exact same level of respect that I treat everybody with, and that I would treat them even if they weren't, or especially if they weren't doing those things to me. And and also too, like I was very comfortable with this, like saying to this person, I don't agree with like you're making that decision. I personally won't agree with it. So if like a supervisor asks, I'll like I'm just an FYI, not to be anything other than honest, but I don't come into agreement with this. And she would get offended quite easily. And but I noticed that whenever she'd make a mistake, it was always everybody like she'd be the one that would spearhead it, but she wasn't the one that would take accountability for it. So anyhow, So she was like working there long, like before I was, and she ended up getting fired. And and I don't say that like that's, it's quite sad to hear that she was let go, and but not surprised. And then there's another woman that's very gossipy, and she ended up quitting. And I've noticed that the atmosphere has, not subtly, it has, aggressively and noticeably and distinctly shifted. It's become just much more peaceable. The people that are working together, it's more just about coming in and working hard as a team, and collaborating together too. Like if somebody's needs a hand with something, then it's almost like people feel very comfortable to ask for a hand, and we work a little more seamlessly. And so the atmosphere has changed drastically. And I would love to say that I miss that person. Like, I do miss the person as a person, but they had a terrible, both of them had terrible, terrible work ethics. And I'll do another video and I'll talk about that. I think these are really good things to talk about. But anyhow, but the whole threat of me being fired, oh my goodness, like that was an alert status red for quite some time, especially as somebody like, my history. I was very much so part of the vulnerable population, and part of the group of recently unhoused or sorry, recently housed, and still impoverished. So these opportunities, oh my goodness, like like it's not like I have like a nest egg to fall back on. It's like, oh goodness, it really hurt to have those things occur around you, especially when you're in such a vulnerable situation. And I just want to bring this up to the surface, and just so it can be just known that these things happen. And there's many people that I think they might struggle with them. In the past, I would have like, oh goodness, that would have consumed me, and I would have been riddled with fears and anxieties. And I would have thought, "Oh my goodness, what if I'm fired? Oh my goodness, this person, if they're gossiping about me, they could sink me, they could slander me, they could this, they could that." In all honesty, I just thought, I can't control what other people are saying, but I can, like, in the Holy Scriptures it says, bad company corrupts good morals. I can, like, I have to work with them, and I'm going to work as unto the Lord when I'm around them, but I will not entertain or engage in any of these gossipy conversations. And I'll just make it known at the beginning, but in a very polite and respectful way. But I also at the same time want to ensure that I bridge together, and do my best to bridge together relationships that are harmonious and that are loving, that are peaceable, but that inspire like a very fluent and cohesive and respectful and professional work atmosphere, and not just for us, but also for like the reputation of the workplace, the reputation of the one who hired me, our CEO, like of everybody in that place. Also to better serve our customers, but most importantly for God's reputation. And so, anyways, it's a privilege to go through the rigmarole of like it wasn't easy, and but God always sustains me. He always protects me, and He always keeps my heart full of peace. And so He gets all the glory. And but anyway, so that's just a frank, candid conversation of something that took place, and I'm still working there now. And now it's more of a privilege when I go in. It's the expectations are very clear and very straightforward, and a lot of the issues that allowed, like, or say, neglectful personalities to remain obscured are now, have now been dealt with. And by that, like, there's different checklists that we have at work, so everybody needs to sign off on the things that they're doing. So our supervisor knows, like, if there's an issue, she can actually talk to the person who's maybe they need education, or they need like retraining, or who knows. But it's no longer just generalized to everybody. But anyways, yeah. So that's um, I'm very happy to provide that update. And and this it's something to grow off and something to grow on. And I would love to say that this doesn't seem to be the norm. This is every single corporate workplace that I've been to. Always seems to have like a segment of these personalities, and when they come together and they group together, oh my goodness, they can create such a toxic environment that's almost insufferable to be in. So, anyways, my supervisor, I give her a lot of credit for what must have been difficult, but for yeah, for doing what she felt was the right thing for the corporation and for our colleagues and the people we serve.